46 BMW, Dan Harper. That's still the best of the BMs. It's a WRT car. And with 9 still on the lead lap, which is what we've had really since about 8 o'clock this morning. This number 46 entry still might gain a place. You never know what's up the road, even though you might think, oh, you know, we've come all this way in 6th. But who knows? Somebody else might have a problem. We're getting late into the race now. This is when things can happen. Cars, drivers, teams, all getting tired. And even if it's not your error, you might get caught up in somebody else's. So you've just got to keep on pushing because you never quite know what might happen.
You always hear in endurance racing, it is about being there in the final hour, the final 2 hours, because a single bunch of the field under safety car completely changes the dynamic of the race. It doesn't matter if you were 40 seconds back, 50 seconds back. If you bunch up and take the restart, all cautions to the wind and anything could happen.
I think you've just seen the Bartone Mercedes in the pits. Carol Bash with work going on that car. That's another of the Quicksilvers. Carol Bash, the Polish driver, specialises largely in Lamborghinis, but good to have him spreading his wings. And Carol Bash, another quick driver. There going by is the silver leading Guillaume Oliveira McLaren. Oliveira, who's been in this championship in the past in a dynamic Porsche as well as a Garage 59 McLaren. Came the Spanish Formula 4 into the Asian Le Mans and European Le Mans Series routes, and now just needing to keep out of trouble. He's 17 seconds up the road from Mathis Lismont, so the optimum car, Sean Goff's team, goes right and goes left and then powers its way out of the chicane up towards the line. But a really different feel right now to Spa, a little bit cooler than we've had it pretty much all week, and certainly cloudier.
Yeah, I think when conditions dropped, we saw at the end of warm-up, and even as the field fell under the evening hours, 2 BMWs tussling, including your Gold Cup leading Rova BMW. It's 9.98 and still in the hands of Jens Klingmann, with a fellow BMW just in tow behind. But the only rival really to worry about right now for 998, and it's quite a ways back, is Pla and the number 111 McLaren. No immediate threat there by any stretch of the imagination, barring disaster for the BMW at the lead of the Gold Cup, and has looked that way since the evening hours. But speaking of that temperature drop, we see not only the cars that were more competitive, like the turbocharged BMW, start to come to the fore. They prefer that cooler, denser air to feed those hungry turbos. You can see how hungry they are by the size of the kidney grills that mirror that on the road car. But I think also in a way it helped the Porsche 911s come back into contention, and they have stayed that way even when temperatures this morning got a little bit warmer. Not as warm as we'd seen throughout the course of this week, but warm nonetheless.
So Bastien Bus there, race leader, 13.7 seconds to the good when he came across the line last time. And that Porsche, which I still think has got another Ricardo Feller and then another Thomas Preining stint in it to keep the drivers fresh, looking good. Lion Speed, the team that's not that old, Patrick Kolb, who has raced historic Porsches, then wanted to go modern racing, started his own team with Jose Garcia. Patrick's in the sister car in the Bronze Cup, but now Lion Speed, having proved what it can do in bronze, being given Porsche factory drivers and Porsche blessing, and here it is looking as though on its first outing at Spa for a pro entry, it may be a winner. And some engineers needing any form of refreshment.
I think it's what we look like after a stint in the commissary box, and we're not even in fire suits or behind the wheel. I feel for these poor mechanics and engineers who have been toiling away since not just the start of this race, but all weekend long to prepare these race cars.
Just look at how much gravel and rubber there is in the foreground of that shot. It's like a rallycross circuit. At Garage 59, you need a good table. You need somewhere to put your cups. And 80 Porsche of Bastien Bus then, with no time for frivolity, carries on downhill, heading into the right of Bruxelles once more. 14 seconds, he's stretching the margin, and it's worth doing because if there's a problem, you've just got a little bit of a cushion.
And we saw that gap start to wane ever so slightly, has now started to wax ever so slightly as well. Lucas Sauer dropping back by no more than half a second of a margin of where we saw him probably 20 minutes ago. But a slight ebb and flow nonetheless, may be attributed to traffic there. Coming through is that bright yellow man-filtered livery Mercedes AMG in the hands of Lucas Sauer. Matt Campbell, a consistent gap behind, and again dropping back just a little bit as Nicholas Nielsen is not helped by being caught behind the number 96, that new Temerario GT3. Credit where credit is due. Really, since the first third of this race, that 96 car has run solidly inside the top 20, often knocking on the door of the top 15. has been a fairly undramatic run. It's been kind of a non-story, and that's exactly what you want for a car making its 24-hour race debut. Not its global race debut by any stretch of the imagination. Nearly won a race in North America in a very short race format on the streets of Detroit, but Lamborghini's Quadricorsa is saying that they feel a win is imminent this year, and that is absolutely the target for the first GT3 car they've built from the ground up themselves.
Just thinking about Porsche, if Lion Speed can do this, it would be the first Porsche win in the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa since 2020, which was the Nick Tandy, Lawrence Vanthoor, Earl Bamber year, when it was a Rover Racing run Porsche that won, and it all went wrong on the last couple of laps for Nick Tandy with the transmission falling apart. It made the horrible of noises as Nick nursed it to the end. But that was a weird race because it was run late in the season. It was the COVID year, of course, so it happened October time, and it meant there was much more night running. It was much colder, but also a lot more darkness because of the fact it was an autumn race, not a summer race. So can we get a Lion Speed Porsche or a CLRT Porsche to replicate Rover Racing's success of 2020 and in front of a much, much bigger crowd heading uphill there? There's that Temerario, the Retronic car. The car's still bottoming out through there, the load putting either the floor on the ground or compressing the bodywork against a tyre, but the load going through the cars, this just underlines how durable they have to be.
I would venture a guess at the latter, given the color and amount of smoke. You've got to worry about what that is doing to that Pirelli DHG rubber. It is remarkably robust. Unless there is contact with the sharp shards of carbon fiber, tires coming off the rim is typically a non-story in this category. And I think it's testament to the bit of rubber that Pirelli has wrapped around these GT3 cars and the rims there. But a little body rub, an extra rear compression is certainly not going to help Matt Campbell's efforts.
Gets past the Dynamique Porsche there. 54, that's the Loris Cabiru, Tennant, Saturn Tirancool, Francesco Simonazzi, Angus Whiteside car. And Simonazzi's at the wheel of it. That green Porsche in 28, that's another Silver Cup entry. Has got away a bit more on this lap, 1.3 seconds at the start of it, but Matt Campbell just looks as though he's fallen away a little bit. Coming out of the Piff-Paff, that corner in the background of the previous angle. We had a big trench dug by cars earlier on, and one of the aspects of the most recent safety car period was that race director Niels Wittich got the marshals to go into certain gravel traps and sweep the gravel back towards the curb. So the circuit, if you like, got a proper makeover. It was made in a much, much better state for the final, let's say, 3 hours of the race. Yeah,
especially over the evening hours once we saw the super, super bright LED-based headlights now on all these GT3 cars illuminate some of the gravel that had fallen and been strewn across the off-racing line sections of the track. It is incredible how much debris gets riddled. You could see it there on the opening straight, just some of the marbles, these chunks of temporarily congealed and shaved off tire rubber from these tires. They go through an immense amount of tire rubber throughout these 24-hour races. You can just see the might and the weight of the Pirelli army that is here. Transporters on transporters on transporters. It seems like an entire cargo ship full of containers just to house the Pirelli DHG rubber needed to survive the 24 hours of Spa and all of the qualifying, the practice, the testing, the speed week running that leads up to this event as well. It is an impressive effort.
It is indeed, because they're looking after this race and GT4 and McLaren Trophy Europe as well. So a lot of Pirelli rubber has been laid down. The leaders are up at Licon once more. So we're into our last 2 hours of this 79th CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. The race that began way back in the 1924 season, when a Bingnan 2L was the winning brand. For many years, it formed a touring car race around the European Touring Car Championship and then a non-championship saloon car race. But as touring car regulations withered on the vine, there was no real common rule set, unlike Group A of the 80s. In 2001, it became a GT race for the first time, and it was a Labra Viper that won. Marc Douay, part of the safety car driving team, a winner with Christophe Bouchou and Jean-Philippe Belloc. And we had another Labra Competition Viper win the year after. And one of the people aboard, a certain Vincent Voss, who of course now, along with Thierry Tassin, a winner of the event, Pierre Dudonné, a winner of the event, oversees WRT. They kind of work for Vincent. It's his team, really, with Yves Wirtz, but if you've done anything in Belgian motorsport, you work at WRT these days. That seems to be how it goes.
Oh, absolutely. Hidden under that cap he often wears is one of the brightest strategic minds you will find anywhere in the paddock. It is a marvelous racing circuit with a rich history. Ben Consideris actually was kind enough on our way into the circuit earlier in the week to give me probably 20-30 minute tour to take me on the roads of the old circuit. What a treat that was. A massive 14.9 kilometer facility that was would be far too dangerous today, was probably far too dangerous for the time and the era of the cars it was running, and it was changed multiple times throughout its rich history in accordance. Even the layout that we have now has been tweaked and changed with safety in mind, but still retains, I think, the heart and the soul and the characteristic that is Spa-Francorchamps. It is technical, it is fast, and it is treacherous, and it bites. And when it bites hard. You don't have small crashes here at Spa.
No, this is true. That original public road circuit is regaled in his inimitable way by Brian Redman in his book. If you haven't read it, I commend it to you. On the subject of books, just published is Gary Watkins' tome on 20 years of GT3, which we are celebrating, which talks about the history, the key players, and all the different manufacturers that have built GT3 cars. And knowing Gary, it's been done properly. Stefan Rattel said when he read the proof, he said there were lots of things in there I didn't know about, or I'd forgotten about, or people didn't quite fess up to at the time. So even he's been learning things. So it is out now. I think it's an Evro publication, 20 years of GT3 racing by Gary Watkins, and you need to get your order in because it's going to be a great read. There in the pit lane is the Rutronic Lamborghini. Rutronic Racing second last year in a Porsche. Luca Stolz is getting ready, as you can see, in that Winward Racing garage, ready for another stint in 48, and with an hour and 3/4 to go, gets himself ready. The car is on the 54-minute mark. There it is. So a couple of laps. Now we have
a stop-and-go penalty for the silver leader, number 5, Guillermo Oliveira's McLaren. Is being given a 4-second stop-and-go penalty for being short on the technical pit stop that most teams did during the night. Now, that was the 5-minute technical pit stop, effectively to change brake discs and pads. But all the data has been reviewed, and it was short by 4 seconds. So they're giving a stop-go to that team to make up the difference. There it is, and there's confirmation of it on that graphic. And this is where you lose races. 4 seconds might seem like nothing, but a stop and go of 4 seconds plus the, 72 drive time through the pit lane. Good night.
It is a monstrously long, dauntingly long pit lane here at Spa-Francorchamps. So long, in fact, that we used 2 of them to organize the fast 69-car strong field, a combination of both the Grand Prix and endurance pit lane.
It's nearly a kilometre. It's 994 metres if you put the 2 pit lanes together. So you do that at the pit lane speed of 50 kilometres an hour. I mean, that's going to cost them the lead for sure. It'll be hard to come back from that.
So I feel for our pit reporters. I had a meager 3-hour stint down there, but the 3 of them have been patrolling all the race long and doing a sterling job of it. But it is a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, and our pit lane camera guys as well, who have been up and down in their fire suits as well, because it's another regulation. Here comes the McLaren then to serve the stop and go, and this is going to give this car, the Rinaldi Ferrari of Alessandro Balzan, then the class lead. So 45. The Rinaldi car, it's rare sometimes to have anything other than an AF Corsa Ferrari, but you've got now a Rinaldi one leading silver, or it will when it crosses the stripe, and you've got the Kessel Ferrari leading in bronze. So Alessandro Balzan, who was an Alpha 147 Cup champion 24 years ago, triple Carrera Cup Italy champion, European Ferrari champion, Le Mans Cup champion. He's even won on the other side of the pond. He was an IMSA GT and a GTD champion in his CV as well. So we've got teams ready. This is in the F1 pits. That is Francesco Braschi getting ready for 52 to come in from Gilles Stadsbader. But this car now takes up the lead of silver. So Alessandro Balzan for Rinaldi ahead, and Lucas Sauer just sits and waits. The ultimate pro. No pacing around, there's no need to do that and expand energy. Just sit and wait, sit and wait. The car will get to him. It's Lucas Sauer at the wheel. It'll arrive. It'll be exactly as he last got into it, pretty much. They'll put some new tyres on. They'll fill it up with fuel. They'll send him out. And then he can get on and try to bring the gap down to the number 80 Porsche. But it's going to be a big ask. 11.8 seconds last time. It was a fractionally quicker Mercedes than Porsche. Maybe Bastien Boost just a little bit ragged into the chicane that time, but he was trying to clear the
Retronic Lamborghini, and over the line he goes.
Throughout the evening stints into the dawn hours as well, the 80, I think, of any of the Porsches was the most aggressive in clattering the curbs, especially the bus stop chicane, particularly the first of the two. When you switch the hands and you hop on the binders, you breathe off the brake pedal and you turn the steering wheel to the right. They take a huge chunk of that right-hand side sausage curb before settling the car and getting the nose pointed down the deceptively short front straightaway on the run into turn 1. La Source that has remained largely intact from the original designs of this circuit, but I've been impressed with the amount of curb that Porsche 911 has been able to take. Oftentimes, we talked about it over the course of the evening, you can use that as an aid to help get the nose turn. You can help that to aid the rotation of the car, but to do that consistently over the course of a 24-hour race and have the car hold together is an impressive thing as well. It's not a small hit. These cars are stiffly sprung in race trim. It makes a great noise as well if you're listening. A scrape of the asphalt and a clunk of the suspension as it gets itself back on the racing surface. But